everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Here to Help You.
We are back for another week.
We're back.
Yes, we are.
And we're leaving again.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But we'll be back for next week.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
Well, we'll be on time. We'll definitely be on time for next week.
We'll see. Welcome to Here to Help You. I'd like to thank everyone. Last week we had some co-hosts in because, as you heard, my co-host Dave lost his father last week Monday.
Yes.
So it's been a little bit trying.
Yeah, it's been a long week since we've been back.
It's been a long, very long week. Like the things we broke out in hives. There's just been a lot of stuff that's been happening.
Way too many.
But we're here, and we are here because we want to, of course, continue what we do. We want to be here for you. We want to give you the information you guys need. And obviously, we're here to, keep Chelsea company because she needs us here and she missed us. She tries to deny it, but she missed us.
We back.
I'd like to introduce my co-host, the Don, Dave Rankin.
Alongside the Donette, Simone Jennifer Smith.
All right. Cool. So, what are we doing today, Mr. Rankin? What did we decide to touch on today?
Could you tell me?
I'm going to tell you.
Please.
We are staying with our whole theme. Last week we kind of diverted from the theme. We talked about relationships, but that's still important. But we're kind of going back to our Emancipation Month theme.
Yes.
And we are speaking about the Underground Railroad 2.0. Now,
2.0.
Yeah, part 2.
Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
2.0.
All right.
It's like what's that show?
Sorry.
Not Transformers. The Metal Man. And he came back from the future. He's played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Terminator 2.0, isn't it?
Terminator. Awesome.
Anyways, so 2.0, and why is it the Underground Railroad 2.0? Because what we're going to learn today is that a lot of the things that were occurring in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
We got a call?
We got a call?
Amazing.
Hello?
Your Honda here.
Hello.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Very well. How are you?
I just want to say thank you for being back. We missed you guys. Good to have you back on the air.
Guy, I thought it was something important. Now, Grant. Hi, Grant.
How you doing?
No, this is an old friend.
Old is right.
Oh, it's like that. No, I just want to say, having Eric Badu back online and everything is great to have you guys back.
Thank you. Thank you very
so
much. We
brother.
appreciate you. Thank you. You had nothing to do, eh?
Pardon me?
You had nothing to do, huh?
Everything is good, man. I just wanted to, having you guys on. I missed you guys. The bubbling and everything back on the show is what I missed.
Easy.
Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate you.
All right. So you guys take care of yourself, all right? I'll see you in the studio, but thanks for good to see you that you guys are back.
I appreciate it so much, brother.
Thank
you take care of yourself.
Big shout out, Chelsea. I'll see you on Thursday.
Big up. She says big up.
That was our first phone call. I'm so excited.
Yes, it is.
All right, guys. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. Great to have you guys back.
Thank you. Well, we get phone call.
Yes, I know. And we haven't even started yet.
God, we get phone call.
I know.
You might as well tell them the number. So if anyone else wants to call, we know it's working. 647-931-4701. You can also find us on Instagram at Simone Jennifer Smith and at IR Dave IR?
Yes.
Aren't you an English teacher?
Yes, I am. And it's perfect for me.
IR Dave Rankin. So please call in. We're going to be talking about some important topics today, but we're basically be looking at how the Underground Railroad in the 1800s is very similar to the Underground Railroad that's happening now, just as dangerous, and some of the political events and situations that are happening over in the States right now that have caused that same, I guess, the catalyst that's kind of caused this migration to the north.
Correct.
So we talked about a few things today. We have a lot of information. So please hang in there. And again, if there's any questions, comment on the bottom of the video on YouTube. Please comment and call and subscribe to us. Like we have a lot of really good shows on TCN TV.
We do.
So believe me when I say, like, we are just one of a few, and we're all doing really great things right now.
Yes, we are.
For our community. So let's dive into the information. So first, can I just talk about something nowadays, and then we can go back to, like,
by means, let's go ahead.
Let's do this. So In March, Google announced that search interest in the term "move to Canada" reached its highest peak in the search engine's history. The Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada's website reported similar traffic in November and made international headlines when it actually crashed on the evening of the American elections.
Wow.
People are like, we're out.
Yeah.
We're not staying here.
Of
They
course.
crash up people's website. Come crash up Good Canada website.
Well, keep in mind this. I mean, you're looking now at of course, we're looking at somebody who's now a catalyst. Right?
Yes.
Who's bringing
Trump.
a reform of policies, if not, I don't know, a new inception of policies.
Yes.
Right? Which is, of course, even the general person who is not an immigrant, they're definitely looking to leave.
Yeah. We're gonna go into more details about this. So let me just touch this a little bit more.
Go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
So, it was noticed by Lindsay Wemp, who's a spokesperson for the immigration site, that there was more than 200,000 users accessing the site when it crashed. So
Wow.
just think about this.
Wow, 200,000.
200,000 people were like, we are going to get the F ghost. I nearly swore and I caught myself. We're out. We are not. 200,000 people were like, nope, NASA. We're getting out of here. So that's just showing you kind of what's been happening over there. And believe me, I'm sure when you go back into the history of the Underground Railroad, we'll see that this is not like, this is very familiar. The numbers may be a little bit different because back then it was a little bit different now. But I'm sure when you're looking at, in comparison, about the same amount of people who are trying to get out from the south to head to the north, right? So David Cohen, a Montreal-based immigration attorney, who has been practicing immigration for at least 40 years now, he said that anywhere between 8,000 and 10,000 Americans pack their bags for Canada a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So just like that, just like in our past, there's some type of unpleasant situation that's happening that's causing this push from the south to head up here to Canada.
Right.
So let's go back into the original, so the Underground Railroad
Right.
1.0.
1.0. Jeez.
And then we can go into more details about some of these pushes that are happening to make it 2.0.
To make it 2.0. Okay, so as we do know, of course, with the Underground Railroad, at first when it was established, it wasn't necessarily just one specific route, right? Of course, there were many routes going towards free states at that point in time. But now we're looking at the year 1850, where you have the Compromise Act and as well as the Fugitive Slave Act.
You're going to go into those?
Yes, we'll go into those.
Thank you.
Right, which was the actual catalyst at that point in time, which, of course, a lot of people, a lot of us wanted to leave America, right, and really spearheaded the Underground Railroad. So the Compromise Act, the Compromise of 1850, you're looking at, of course, certain states who were looking basically to control the slave holding industry at that point in time.
Okay.
Along with, of course, at that point in time, there was the Mexican and American War, which, of course, some states had went ahead and acquired new land. So, and then, of course, they had to come up with some compromises at that point in time. So some people gave up some land, some states gave up some land, some states ended up gaining some land, and in this case, of course, the Fugitive Slave Act was enacted at that point in time as well. With the Fugitive Slave Act, simply we're looking at people who have left, right, who've migrated illegally in their eyes, right?
Okay.
Whether it's, of course, to another free state or simply, across the border to Canada. At that point in time with the Fugitive Slave Act, not only was, of course, slaves, but also the public. The public was supposed to comply at all times with this act.
Okay.
Right, so simply, if you were aiding and abetting and you had information, by means, you were complied to go ahead, right, and
tell.
Exactly.
Snitch.
Yes.
Snitches end up with stitches.
Well, back then they got paid.
Snitches end up getting paid.
Yes.
They get paid now too. What am I saying?
Right. So I mean, it was definitely a rough period in our history, right? Because you had, of course, many people at that point in time who have crossed the border, right? Who sought refuge, who thought they were free, and then, of course, only when this came about and when they started sending the telegrams over across the border, right? Sending more people across the border, hunters and all of them across the border to go ahead and capture
people
to
back.
bring people back.
Wow.
Not only that, there were people at that point in time who actually earned their free papers
But didn't they still get snatched up?
Of course, all they had to do was
7 Year
burn.
Slave is one of them. Isn't that a good movie of
There-
it?
there
7
you
Year
go,
Slave.
right?
Okay.
So back then, of course, you look at people who earned their right to be free, right? And only to have their papers burnt to be recaptured and sent back to the South again, right? So I mean,
Wow.
it's something that, of course, you know what, we do pay attention towards it. So, I mean, books like this right here, which we'll get into later.
We will.
Yes,
We've
by
seen this
Miss-
book before, haven't
yes,
you?
Miss Rosemary Sadlier, the Black Canadian History, which is
Honestly,
excellent
this book
for
is
children.
good. It's not even just for children. Honestly, I've learned a lot from reading this book. Things, again, I knew very little about Canadian history.
Mm-hmm.
I know about Jamaican history, funny enough, which I live in Canada, so.
So,
But this book is excellent. I'm going to honestly recommend that every family has it in their house. The more I've read it since we picked this up, I've learned a lot more. A lot of the information we have comes straight from this book.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
it's been researched, it's been edited, it's been illustrated. It's beautiful.
Yes.
So definitely pick this up.
and it's got a section, a very great section, Harriet Tubman, who so back then they used like codes, right? So a conductor, of course, would be somebody who is now leading the group, right, on their treacherous journey. Some of the other codes, stations were actually houses where they would stop off, eat, rest, only of course to continue on with their journey. Canaan,
Like a rest station.
there you go.
Got it.
Canaan was Canada.
Because it was an Exodus.
There you go. Right?
Uh-huh.
Right. Baggage was, of course, everybody who was on the journey. In this case, the slaves escaping.
They were considered baggage.
Right?
Okay.
Heaven also was considered to be of Canada.
Canada.
Right. Stockholders.
Heaven, though.
I know, right?
Into them catch Colleen. The Cole licked them. They were like, no.
Well, we get into that later because you know what? There's some things that Canada is guilty of implementing, right? So we'll definitely get into that later on in the show. Right?
Well, we'll get on. Before you, I don't want you, you have information.
Don't worry.
I don't
we
want to
got
cut
time.
you off. So we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back. When we get back, we're going to continue on some of the past history about the Underground Railroad, and then we're going to go right into some of this juicy new stuff. See you soon.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
So I just came off of a bogle. So I teach Chelsea new words each week. This has nothing to do with our show at all.
Nothing.
But I said the word bogle, and she said, "What's that?" She's 21. Like,
What can you expect?
guys, Google it.
Yes.
Google bogle.
Buju Bantan.
Bojo Bantan beside it and put bogle, and you'll find it. You'll see exactly
you'll be
what
all right.
it is. You'll be fine. And I want to see the dance next week. And I also have to apologize to the caller who called in. It wasn't Grant. It was Charles. Hi, Charles.
Go, boy.
Sorry, you sounded like Grant.
You did.
I don't know what you want me to do, but thank you. We appreciate you calling in, homie.
Yes, we do, brother.
Keep up the faith. All right. Glad you live in Canada and you didn't have to migrate over. So Dave,
Yes.
let's continue with. I like some of these. Let's go over some of these. Yeah,
Sure.
For people who are just joining us, we're talking about the Underground Railroad 2.0. It's like I know what I call it. I like
That's
it.
what she wants to call it. Yes.
Underground Railroad 2.0, and we were basically discussing some of the past historical events that have happened, and we're about to kind of go into what is happening now in 2.0 and why it's so similar. So we were just finishing going over some of the codes they discussed. So the conductor was the person who led the slaves.
Yes.
Okay. The stations were the homes that they would stop off at. Look, I'm wicked, eh?
Today,
if baggage was considered, you're a hater. Baggage was considered the slaves themselves. Canaan was considered Canada. Also, heaven was also the code word for Canada until they realized how damn cold it was. And then you were going to give me some more.
Yes, like baggage was, of course, the slaves coming in.
We said that.
No, you said baggage.
No, I said baggage. Yeah,
Sorry,
I said baggage.
parcel. Parcel. That's what I meant to say. Parcel, in fact, is the slaves actually, the expectation of the slaves coming in. So baggage, of course, was en route. Parcel was,
Parcel's the receiving.
There you go.
See, you just didn't explain it right.
Thank you. All right, drinking gourd was the Big Dipper or the North Star, right? Flying bondsmen. These were the number of escaping slaves, right? The Freedom Train, right? Of course, what we participated in the other day,
yes.
Right? Big up to, of course, Ita, Uncle Louie, and the rest of everybody. Yes. Freedom Train, in fact, was the Underground Railroad itself.
All right.
Right. So once again, we want to emphasize, of course, the Underground Railroad was not specifically one route coming into Canada.
There were several.
There were several routes. And mainly a lot of those end up settling into southern Ontario. Harriet Tubman herself settled in St. Catharines for about 7 years during, of course, the height of the Underground, right?
That's right. I mean, then there was Windsor.
Right.
There was Nova Scotia.
There you
go. That's the difference from the 2.0. Into 2.0, which we'll go into, there's actually really one route that's used more so than anything else. But we're going to talk about it.
Considering for modern day. Yes.
2.0.
Yeah.
You're starting to like it now, aren't you? 2.0.
No.
All right. Do you have anything else there, Mr. Rankin? Before we can, I'm just excited to jump into the juice.
I see.
Into the 2.0.
I see. You know, as we emphasized before, of course, they've sung songs, like spiritual songs.
Yeah, you gonna sing one for us?
I can't sing, but we'll go ahead and read a few lines.
Can you try to sing one just for humor's sake?
I definitely did not. They'll kick me off the air if I start singing. I'm sorry, but
he tries to sing at home. It's hilarious.
That's different. I'm private. I'm in my own space. I can laugh at myself.
And I can laugh at him. It's hilarious.
Yes, you can.
Sing for me.
Well, here's a song that was sung at the Suspension Bridge in Niagara. Once again, I am not singing. I'm really, of course, saying a few words. I'm now embarked for yonder shore, where a man's a man by law. The iron horse will bear me over to shake the lion's paw.
Stop. It doesn't say over. It says or.
Thank you. Over.
Or O apostrophe R-E-R, which is over, but it's
Is it
or.
over? Is it over?
Yes, but
Thank
it's
you.
or.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
To shake the lion's paw. O righteous Father, wilt thou not pity me and help me on to Canada, where all the slaves are free? Oh, I heard Queen Victoria say that if we would forsake our native land of slavery and come across the lake, that was standing on the shore with arms extended wide to give us all a peaceful home beyond the rolling tide.
Sounds like if I threw in like a cymbal, this could be a church song.
This could be it definitely was, right? Definitely was. Your church hand? You need the tambourines?
The church
you
hand.
You want me to get some tambourines? I think we can have some in the kitchen.
I'm being silly. Anyhow, very powerful song.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing, you know what I find? It's hope. It's the one thing that I hear when I always talk about the Underground Railroad is this hope that people have for a better life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that has not changed.
True.
Right?
Very
that
true.
hope coming to Canada. A lot of people come to Canada hoping for something better. A lot of people are coming from war-torn countries.
Mm-hmm.
I nearly messed it up, and they come here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And they get here, and again, you know what? We're gonna get into that. I'm overstepping myself. Let's talk about some of the other things that are happening that are causing this push.
This catalyst right
to
now?
come here. Yes.
Go right
All
ahead.
right. So, in the past year, hate crimes against Muslims in the U.S. have skyrocketed to the highest levels since post 9/11. So mosques have been vandalized, and letters threatening to cleanse America of Muslims were sent to mosques in 6 states shortly after Trump was elected. This is why I always talk about him being a catalyst for this.
Okay.
That's where this whole theme came from. Is again, I'm sure when I post the Trump thing today, we're not here to talk about Trump, believe me. But right now, with everything happening,
right,
he has been the person who has like stirred all of this up, right? Things were always bad in the States. We're not going to say things were ever great.
Okay.
But ever since him, there's just been a lot more upheaval.
Well, he's made it a lot more comfortable. A lot more people who've had the same rhetoric or had the same thought, for them to be a lot more comfortable.
They're comfortable now.
And being outward, right? Before, you would think it, especially here across the border. In the States, a little bit different, but here across the border, right? And I mean, we did a class on this.
Yes, we did.
Right? Trump effect in Canada.
Trump
where
effect.
You now have people who have thought this, but wouldn't have said it before, right? Are now outwardly
saying it.
Exactly. Right, so I mean,
they have a platform now.
Right, and of course, in the president, like it was
back then. That's a huge platform.
Back then, it was the law.
Yeah.
Right, 1850. Of course. Okay, we're looking at the British colonies. British. Right, Britain went ahead and of course outlasted slavery. 1833. It went into effect 1834, August 1st. Of course, we know as
Emancipation Day.
Right, so slavery in all the British colonies were supposed to be non-existent.
Yeah.
However, though, of course, in the Americas, it was still there, right? So now, of course, 1850, of course, we mentioned before, the Compromise Act, the Fugitive Slave Act, of course, the 1850 as well. You can find more details in Blacks in Canada by Robin Wilkes. You can find it also, the Fugitive Slave. Benjamin Drew wrote an excellent book where he's interviewed people who went through this journey, who settled not only into Southern Ontario, but all across this nation, right? And their stories, their firsthand accounts are excellent material. Josiah Henson, Uncle Tom's Cabin, that's another wonderful piece of literature for us to get into as well.
That movie's crazy.
There you go, right?
That movie's crazy. If you haven't seen Uncle Tom's Cabin, I don't even know if I should recommend it. I'll say this, when you watch it, it's almost like watching what's happening today, just years back. It's the same thing. Nothing's changed. Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No problem at all. But I mean, we had political moments in time that served as catalysts, right? Or nucleus for us, which spearheaded a movement. Something had to be done. And once again, something is happening.
Something is happening. There's more. So politicians, now you were just talking about people having a platform. I want you to hear this.
Okay.
Politicians, too, have been implicated in the rise of hate. Earlier this month, a staffer of former Florida Congressman Alan West posted an Islamophobic name of Trump's pick for Defense Secretary James Mattis that stated, "Fired by Obama to please Muslims, hired by Trump to exterminate them."
Wow. Wow.
These are their words. Like this, and these are politicians. These are people who are creating and making and supposed to be upholding laws.
Well, I mean, there's a term that was used years and years ago, and you might find in some materials that you research, right? It's called political racism or political discrimination, right?
Okay.
Where simply, of course, you're using the politics to go ahead and back these outlandish ideals that simply just don't sit, right, in today's society. Especially when we're looking at, if we're going to use the term multinationalities coming here to this country, right? Continue. I'm done. Continue.
You're done?
Yes, continue.
I was waiting for so much more. I was sitting here taking it in. I got lost.
You were like, yeah.
I got lost in your speech. Okay, so one of the biggest things that I'm seeing in the 2.0 that was not as much in the past was the attack of, it's now attached a religion to it as well.
Okay.
So the Islam, the religion has been, people of the Islam religion have been attacked the most. It just so happens that a lot of Muslims coming into Canada happen to be African. That's just how it's turned out.
Right.
So being Muslim or dressing any kind of way is a problem, especially for the women. A lot of the women, when I was reading some of these articles, which I'm going to give you guys links to these articles after, but a lot of these women, they've had to actually some of them have had to change who they are just so they're not getting harassed. But as a man, you can't look at a man and say, "Oh, you're Muslim." You don't know, right? But with a woman, there's distinct things. They wear their hijab. That's the biggest. It's the biggest giveaway that you're Muslims, that you have your head wrapped. And again, not like this, covered, right? Like I'm showing way too much to be considered Muslim. Way too much. So I made Chelsea laugh. But no, honestly, like they've faced such discrimination that some of them have had to stop wearing their hijab. Like that's what's going on over there. Like I can completely see why people are just like, let's get out of here. Let's head to some place where I can wear my hijab in peace.
Right.
So an FBI report, and we'll talk about this and then we'll go on a break. So an FBI report showed an increasing trend of hate crimes committed against Muslims. Of the total number of hate crimes committed in the U.S., those against Muslims rose to 22.2% in 2015 from 16.3% in 2014. So it jumped up like a full 3%, almost a full 3%.
Right.
Sorry, 6%. Why are you saying right when I was wrong?
You were close.
A full 6%. So as you can see, things are happening. There's a reason why people are coming over here. When we get back, we're going to go into some more current issues that are prompting this migration to Canada and, of course, creating this Underground Railroad 2.0. See you soon.
Discover the incredible India.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Here to Help You.
Yes.
I'm here with my co-host, Dave Rankin.
Alongside the Danette, Simone, Jennifer Smith.
And if you are just joining us, today we are talking about the Underground Railroad 2.0. That's what I call it. Dave may not like it, but I like it. It has a little bit of a ring to it, 2.0.
Well, you know, the news were calling it the new Underground Railroad.
That's so boring.
Boring?
Yes. The Underground Railroad 2.0. That just sounds like trendy.
Like an upgrade?
It's like a Terminator, like an upgrade. Anyhow.
We'll run with it for the segment, folks.
So we left off at the beginning. If you missed the first half, I would definitely suggest you head back there and take a look. Again, I'm going to prompt everyone, please. We want people to call. If you don't get to see the show, I know a lot of people are like coming home from work right now, so it's kind of hard sometimes to call.
Well, you know.
I get it. But for those who are home, the number is 647-931-4701. If you are unable to call, I definitely want you to comment. I'm asking you to comment on your thoughts on this. This does affect us in general.
Yes.
It affects us in more ways than we might even believe. Mm-hmm. But let's go into now some of the things that are happening and what Trump, as I'd said earlier, is the catalyst for this. And he has provided. Well, he is a performer too.
He is a performer.
But he has provided a platform for a lot of hate groups.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, right? What were they called?
Alt-right.
Okay, there's another group that's up there that's like
the white nationalists.
The white nationalists.
Mm-hmm,
that's it. Okay, so all of that.
Right.
Spurring up, again, very similar to our past. History has a way of repeating itself.
It does.
So a lot of the things that are happening now, I'm telling you, if you look in our past, you will see them.
Correct.
Okay? So let's go into a little bit more stats. Let's talk a little bit more about why people are wanting to come to Canada. We can compare it to the reasons why people wanted to come to Canada back then
right.
And see how they compare. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's talk about Bush. Statistics Canada, they tell us that George Bush 2004 election gave way to the biggest influx of Americans moving to Canada since the 1970s. So look, this is even before Trump. This is when that idiot was in power.
Was it 1992?
This in 2004.
2004.
The biggest influx of Americans since the 70s.
Okay.
Since the 70s.
Wow.
According to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, 9,612 permanent residents from U.S. were admitted in 2006. Yeah. This is before Trump. This is when Idiot 1 was there. Right? And he was a huge idiot too. Like,
that'd be idiot number 2. His father was
idiot 1. He was idiot 2. That's true.
Thank you.
So like from then, people were just like, we need to get out of here. So there's always been this, like, when things start to get bad over there, people head here.
Yeah, because of course, Canada's image was always been, or at least recently,
tree hugging.
There you go.
We hug trees over here,
right?
And we drink maple syrup after we've hugged the tree.
We don't start any wars, right? We do help to clean them up, right? We're a peacekeeping nation.
We're a peacekeeping nation.
Right?
I call us pacifists, but continue.
Well, of course, they're still exploiting everybody else, but
of course.
that's a different topic.
We do it quietly.
We smile. As
the Novocaine, exactly. I always say that racism in Canada is like they're racist with a side of Novocaine. So you'll be laughing all the way, but being discriminated against, and not even realize it. Sorry.
It's all right. I kind of forgot my point. But, it does, of course, with the 9,600 people coming in during that time frame, it does fit into the quota, what the lawyer was saying before, between about 8,000 to 10,000 people, right? And once again, of course, another political event serving as a catalyst. Oh. Thank you.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Really? I know.
I'm foolish. I don't know what anyone ever really expects from me. I can be serious for about maybe 2 minutes.
Only 2 minutes.
Longest.
Only longest.
2 minutes. Continue.
I think you need to follow up now.
Well, you forgot, eh?
Yes.
I made you forget again? I'm
sorry. No, you're not.
No, political event.
Yes, it was a political event, right? So, I mean, it's history repeating itself. More political events. Of course, the 70s was another political event. The 60s and 70s,
remember.
of course, were the heaviest of civil rights movements were taking place. So once again,
right.
More political events, right, taking place, which spearheaded, of course, more immigration. One name to go ahead and mention is Daniel Hill, right, the father of Lawrence Hill, the Book of Negroes. So he would have migrated during that time frame as well, right? So by means, we're seeing history repeat itself, right? And the sad part about it is this, of course, now we see the doors are being opened up, of course, to nations outside of course, African nations, right? At one point in time, of course, yes, we had an influx of African nations coming in, and I'm including the Caribbeans to go along with the African nations as well. Okay, now you don't see that as much. You see more, of course, a lot of other nations coming into, of course, Canada, except, of course, those African nations, because, of course, the stigmatism, once again, which we'll get into the last segment, but
there's a lot in that last segment.
There's a stereotyping, of course, of people of African descent, which still follows us to this day.
We have some, I guess some of the I guess those are for later, but we're going to talk about, we have some photos too to show the new, the Underground Railroad 2.0. We'll be putting those up in the next segment. We won't put those up yet. But yes, insane. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, go ahead.
Okay, because I maybe I did cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I do that a lot, don't I?
Not today.
So, frightened by, another point here, frightened by his incoming administration instead, now, I'm reading this part out of an article. Again, we'll give you guys the articles at the very end to review so you can kind of do some reference checks as well. There's a lady who wrote in this one article that one of the reasons why she wanted to come here was there was a political push. She just thought we had better leadership. We had Justin Trudeau, right? Trudeau, who at 44 and in his first year of office has allowed the resettlement of more than 30,000 Syrian refugees in Canada, and became the country's first prime minister to march in a gay pride parade, who has installed a gender-equal administration. So he's very much like his dad. My parents love a Trudeau, you see?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Everything is Trudeau this, Trudeau that, well, Trudeau.
Of course, it's similar to, of course, his father's policy during the 70s as well, right? There was a reformation, of course, Immigration Act of 1976, which took place, right, where simply they just revamped the whole system. right? Prior to that, of course, you know what? The people that were coming in, of course, filling in menial jobs to, of course, to now support a growing economy at that point in time as well, right? So it's very similar, right? And of course, we are going to see the same thing happen to his father. It's going to happen to the son as well.
You think so? Yeah, they're going to hate him and then want to bring him back?
Well, keep in mind this. I mean, during the end of his political reign, I mean, we're speaking of the father, right? The numbers got smaller due to, of course, political pushback, right? And, of course, public outcry, right? History continues to repeat itself.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So something we're going to talk about now and then finish off our last segment is the idea of this. I think there's a slight miseducation when it comes to what's happening here in Canada. As much as everyone thinks this is the land of milk and honey, that we have like money trees that we can just go and pick dollars from, it's not like that. It's cold, first of all. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there's also this belief that there was a lady who's in the article talked about working in a correctional facility and the conditions of that correctional facility. And of course, again, there's a high majority of African Americans in the correctional facilities. Okay. So she used to see some very terrible things. And one thing she said she had heard is that the correctional facilities over in Canada were a lot better. I have to agree they are a lot better, but they're still not great. So there's a lot of misconceptions about Canada that need to be cleared up, I think.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, it isn't as much as in your face as the Americans are. Right?
Novocaine.
So of course, we have to dissect the layers, right? We definitely have to comb through the I's, and the T's, of any type of piece of paper, any type of rhetoric that we've placed in front of us as well.
It's like surgery. It's like dental surgery. You don't feel nothing till the next day. Then you feel it all. That's what happens here at racism. You don't realize it until you got no job. Anyways, or anyhow, I won't go there. I'm going to stop because I could. So let's talk about some of the things that are happening with people coming in. The Underground Railroad 2.0. So RCMP intercepted 470 refugee claimants crossing the border last year. And we were talking about borders. There's one main border that a lot of people are crossing at. And this border is in Manitoba. There is a picture there. I'm sure Chelsea will pick up. You can choose anyone, Chelsea, but there's one. Yes.
That's a beautiful
shot. Here it is. So
yeah.
This is a good shot of it. So this is, hold on one second.
This is from a Maclean's article.
This is from Maclean's article, and I got it. It's the North Dakota crossing, and usually it's also called the Emerson crossing. Now, most people had, I guess, they had advisors. They had a network of word-of-mouth people, drivers, and even smugglers who were bringing people in here. I had a question about the advisors thing. We were talking about this earlier, and I'm going to bring it up for everyone.
Yeah.
Who advised people to come here in January? To Manitoba. Who gave that advice? Those people didn't like y'all at all. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. January of all months, guys. Chelsea even said it. Why not even like a little bit of a March? There's a 1-2 sunlight. 1-2. We get a 1. Right. The snow's not in Manitoba. You know how much snow they get in Manitoba? Some bad advisors. They should have called me. I would have told them, look, wait till at least April.
Well, it allows them to go ahead and get used to, at least to get a taste of what it is. Because, let's look at the earliest settlers going into, of course, the Midwest, right? The pioneers at that point in time. They had no clue what Canadian winters would have been like at that point in time. So imagine migrating during the summer, right? Now all of a sudden get hit by that winter.
I'd prefer that. I'm sorry. Sorry.
So you get time to
I'm
prepare,
coming from the south, and it's hot.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I see this white powdery stuff. And my foot cool.
Right.
And I have no boots, no scarf, no hat. You're crazy, guy. Advise me for April, please. Don't advise me for no January. I'd be so cheesed. I'd be so mad at the person who told me to come up here. January. I'd be vexed. So the routes were impossibly dark. They were through shrub bush, mud, snow, and water. And a lot of people were fueled, obviously, by fear of getting caught. So all of this is look at that.
Yes, that's another crossing point.
That looked pretty. I'm sorry. That still looks too nice for what it probably feels like. That doesn't look, there's a lot of snow. But I know in Jan, that's probably like March. See? That's how March looks, guys. This is March in Manitoba.
Oh boy,
much better.
Are you serious?
But they would charge anywhere for $200. You know what? I'm not gonna go there. Let me stop. We're gonna go on a break. When we come back, we'll finish talking about this route, and we're gonna talk about a few people who've actually done it and some of their problems, the issues that they've had because of it.
Right.
We'll be back. Don't cross in January.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Underground Railroad 2.0. Dave doesn't like my title, but I think it sounds... Why not? What's wrong with 2.0?
I don't know. They're just not...
Anyone out there, if you guys have a better name for what I to call it, I like 2.0. If you like 2.0, comment, like, share, subscribe.
I have no other suggestions, so...
So thank you. Don't criticize. So we have a question here from Travelers.
Travelers. Well, I'll go on Travelers.
Miss Chenna. Would you like to read the question, please, Dave? Mind you, it has nothing to do with our topic, but okay. No, it does.
No,
it does.
It
has everything to do with our topic. Go ahead.
So what can we as a people do to educate others on what's happening in Charlottesville, and how do you think it will play in Canada's development?
Guy, shouldn't you be tutoring? Don't you? Why are you asking all the time about big questions, guy? Don't you have class? I swear I scheduled you at this time. Shouldn't you be working?
Listen, we have a dedicated fan. Go on, trouble.
Like, shouldn't you be working right now? I don't understand. Why are you trying to come with these heavy questions?
It is a big question.
Okay, so you know what, Miss Channer? One thing that we are doing right now is this. So what I am going to do at the end is... oh, she's waiting for the bus.
Thank you so much for your dedication. Stop it. Stop it.
Brittany, we love you.
Yes, we
do. Thank you for contributing to the conversation.
Big up.
You know what we're going to do? How's it going to help with Canada's development? Well, we're going to go over a few more things, Brittany, and maybe this might answer your question.
Hopefully.
We'll talk about the rest of the stuff that's happening, and I'm actually going to give some advice, some actual advice, like not to come in January, and also things that you can do for those who are interested in coming here, and things you should know, because not anybody can just come to Canada. You can't.
Yeah, there's a strict process of coming
There
here.
is some process that you have to go through, and there's certain things, like if you have a DUI,
sorry,
can't come. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter when you come. You just can't come. Not to stay. Anyways. So let's talk about... Okay, so when these people were getting advice to come here, they ended up, the main way to get over here now is through a place called Emerson Crossing. And people who were advised, they were told about friendly Manitoba, because I guess the people in Manitoba were very, very friendly. When people are coming, they've accepted them in. They would get driven from North Dakota and dropped off at a crossing point for about $200. So they even had Uber drivers. They have Uber. I'm done. Uber's capitalizing on the Underground Railroad 2.0. Just saying.
Well,
they are.
Back then, you had people who funded the movement, so of course, people can go ahead now, right, and make the movement as smooth as possible.
Yes.
So now, of course, it's the people themselves who are funding the movement, paying the Uber drivers, or paying the transporters, or in this case, the conductors, right? So that way, once again, the movement is smooth.
Yes. So let's talk about, before we go into some of the things that you should know about coming here, and of course the kind of answer to what Brittany had to say. Let's talk about two individuals, a gentleman named, I'm going to say this wrong, but I'm going to try, Sidhu Muhammad. Chelsea, stop laughing at me, guys. What do you want from me? And I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I messed up your name. And Razak Iyal. I said that one right. Chelsea, before she helped me,
I know.
She's sitting here laughing at me. Before you help me out.
Put the pictures up.
Put the pictures up, guys, since you're laughing so much. So now what's not funny is what these gentlemen had to go through. So they were advised to cross in January. And this is what happened. And this is there's lots of cases of this where people are losing limbs, like their hands and their feet,
Right.
because they're trekking in the middle of winter.
Right.
I was going to speak on this. One of the reasons why they're coming in January is because, again, it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
It gets darker a lot faster.
Right.
They can go, remember, even in the Underground Railroad, they were crossing. You're not going to come during the day, right? And during the summer in Canada, our days are longer, right? Because of how the sun's tilted and all that stuff. So they're not going to come in the summertime because there's a higher chance of you getting caught, right? In the winter, when the sun's going down at like 5, you can be sleeping during the day for a few hours or resting during the day for a few hours, and then you're on the move again at night. So there's a reason why some of this is happening. A lot of it is unfortunate, but these are things that happen. This is actually a Chinese restaurant in Manitoba, just close to the Emerson Crossing, where this owner, thank God for him, he lets immigrants stay there.
There you go.
Get some rest, eat some food, like the one wonderful thing about this is that this does replicate what was happening in the 1800s, where there were those stations. This would be considered a station.
Right.
Right?
Right. Of
Where
course.
people could stop, rest, and then keep moving on their journey.
And you can imagine this is just because of course, immigration policies were either slowly being introduced or just a thought of an immigration policy, right? And that is actually, I said back then, where of course, this Fugitive Slave Act was an act. It was already enforced, right? So if you can think, just the thought alone can go ahead, right, and spearhead such a movement, right? Could you even imagine if, let's say, now Donald Trump's policies actually got through?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What would happen? I mean, 200,000 users alone online.
They were trying to book it.
Moving to Canada. Right? And it's just a thought.
I know. You know how many people I know got their passports quick?
I don't blame you.
Every American person I know who's a friend of mine had their passport by the end of the year. They're like, we need to get out of here, Simone. I'm like, I hear you, man.
For real.
I'm going to go over a few things really quickly because we don't have a lot of time left.
No
we only
worries,
have 5 minutes left. This time went really quickly. So one thing that a lot of people didn't know back then and don't realize now is that, again, Canada is not the land of milk and honey. Racism is not as prevalent and it's not as in your face, but it is very real here.
Right.
For a lot of Canadians right now, Black African Canadians are living in subpar accommodation and conditions. Like, we are the first to get discriminated against. The legal system for us is different than it is. It doesn't matter where you live.
Right.
The only difference I say from America and here is, at least here you have a better chance of getting home.
Yes.
You have a better chance of getting home. You may get beat down. I'll tell you that, because I have friends who've been beaten down by police. Males, of course, not women. Women they flirt with. I don't know. Anyhow, well, actually, I'm sure there's some conditioning there too. But that's a whole nother topic, right?
Correct.
But our biggest thing is that our young men can get home. We're killing each other out here, not the police mostly killing us. That's the biggest difference.
Right. But of course, the rhetoric still remains the same, though, in regards to the discrimination towards us.
It's real. Yes.
Right. Historically, there was an actual Order of Council PC in 1911. Right. Look this up. It's 1911-1324. Right. It was a ban on black immigration to Canada at that point in time. So it was approved August 12, 1911. Right. And in fact, the cabinet of Sir Wilfrid Laurier. Right.
I went to that school.
So you went to Wilfrid Laurier?
So did Paul Bernardo. He was a Scarborough rapist. Continue.
Okay. Right.
Useless information.
Well, it adds to the whole.
I don't know.
Who knows? All right. So for a period of 1 year, right, the Negro race, right, of course, was banned from, of course, immigrating to Canada, and quote unquote, They said here that the Negro race was deemed unsuitable to the climate and requirements of Canada at that point in time. Mind you, of course, it wasn't enacted as an outright law, right? It was, in fact, overturned due to a technicality after a year. But still, the thought.
It's there.
Right? It's been there.
Yes, it's there. So there was a rising instance of hate crimes against Muslims. So I know a lot of Muslims were trying to leave to come here. But there was actually a rise in hate crimes against Muslims in Canada as well. These have more than doubled in the recent years, so it's happening even more now. Mm-hmm. In 2012, police recorded 45 religiously motivated hate crimes. In 2014, that number shot up to 99. So again, Canada's not... There's still some things happening over here. It may not be spoken as much because, again, the States is a circus. So, like, for them, it's a circus act over there. Like, honestly, like it is a lot more fun to watch. Like, if I had to choose between Canada TV and America's politics is hilarious. Like, that's just it's humorous.
They covet the attention.
They do, like those laws of power, boy.
I tell you.
So there's certain things you need to know if you were to come here. If you want to get over here quickly, getting a work permit is probably one of the best things you can do. It's probably the quickest option for Americans hoping to move to Canada quickly. A range of 66 occupations under the North American Free Trade Agreement would allow a U.S. citizen to move and begin working in Canada within a couple weeks, as long as you have an official job offer. So if you are skilled, if you're not skilled, get skilled, you have a much better chance of getting over here and actually staying over here, getting a work permit.
Yes.
Without a work permit, there's, of course, marriage. So you Americans who have that girl or that man who things didn't work out, now might be the time to, like...
Stop it.
Just saying. Okay? Get it together, okay? Also, if you are going to college or university, that's another way of getting over here. Absolutely, being an international student is another way of getting over here. So, Canadians, for the most part, are very welcoming to the American influx. So, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, for example, are sleepy, scenic islands in eastern Canada, and they have built an entire tourism marketing approach around attracting Yankees. They actually said Yankees.
Yes, they did.
Seeking refuge from the Trump presidency.
Excellent.
There is a picture there of a welcome board I think we had found. And this is also on the McLean's website. There it is.
Perfect.
So there's a board that actually is set up in these places that tell people about the healthcare system and what they should expect coming here. And if you're pregnant, if you have children. So, you know what? One thing I like about Canada, we do welcome. We do welcome. So we have 1 minute left. I kind of want to give you guys the titles for... the books and the articles we were reading. So, of course, Black Canadian History, everybody. Get this book. I'm going to talk about this book for a while. Get this book. Important. Also, American Dream of Canada After Trump. And that's an electoral college votes in Donald Trump. Many U.S. citizens plan to move to Canada but may face cold reception. You can just look up references, The American Dream of Canada After Trump. It's a reference. And then, Trump. And then the new Underground Railroad, which is what they used. Search it. I like Underground Railroad 2.0.
I'm sure you do.
And that's by Jason Markosoft. And again, I hope we were able to bring some information to you. Most of us probably already know some of this stuff, but it's always good to review. And again, it fits in with our Emancipation Month. So.
Right, and especially for us as Africans, I mean, find the system, know the system, search out somebody who knows the system, whether it's, of course, going through the African Canadian Legal Clinic, whether it's, of course, going through, of course, the African Canadian Social Development.
Stop.
No, I will not stop. Hold on. Thank you. Right, whether it's going through, of course, the Canadian Association of Black Lawyers, right, so you can go in and ask your questions. By means, know the system, learn the system, so when your transition over here will be a lot more smoother process.
What legal clinic?
They're still entitled, okay? They're still here, right? Even though the funding may have been yanked, but there's still an organization.
Okay, we'll be talking about that soon. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you
Peace
for
and love,
being
family.
here.
Thank you all for coming out.
Have a great week. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace and love.